Hi, my name is Aaron with iBoard Repair and iPhone Data Recovery, and today I'm going to be working on an iPhone 8. I have it right here. I've already taken off the screen, but that's all I've done to it. As you can see, it's water damaged. There's corrosion all throughout the board. And it's a little bit funny because this person had told me that they were on vacation and they used a charger that they've never used before, and afterwards the phone died. And when I first heard that, I had assumed it was going to be a problem with the charging port circuit. But that's obviously not the case. This person obviously got their phone wet, because plugging in a bad charger to this phone would not cause this corrosion in the camera connector, wouldn't cause this corrosion here in the back camera connector. It wouldn't cause any corrosion. It would just kill the charging chip if that was going to be the case. So this is just going to be a typical water damage job. I work on water damage almost every single day, so we'll see what we can get into. I'll go ahead and remove this board from the housing, and we'll get right started. So give me a moment to do that, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I have the motherboard out of the housing. Let me switch the view to the big scope cam. And we can take a look at this. So the LCD connector area looks fine. Charge port area looks fine. I don't often see corrosion in this area, and when I do, I can usually just clean it away. Hopefully that will be the case this time as well. So let's pull these back films and see what we can see underneath it, but I am going to answer that call real quick. Okay, so as I was saying, I'll pull this film up and we could take a look underneath here. So not much corrosion. It will be funny if the corrosion on the front actually isn't killing the phone, and maybe it was just taking out the camera, and this guy's phone actually was working the whole time, and it really does have a dead TriStar. I guess I'll see after I examine a little bit further. But I can't imagine anything besides the water damage killing this phone because it's so prevalent everywhere. Yeah, so it's actually quite clean. So maybe I was wrong to doubt my customer, and it actually was the charge port that killed this thing. But I'll take a measurement. I'll take a few measurements. I'll measure VDD main right here and see if it's short. Because VDD main is the most commonly shorted line when you have water damage. So ground on this side, and that side is not short, so that's good. Let's see if VDD boost is short. It's not. And let's see if any of my NAND caps are short. Oh, okay. Well, there's a short. I have a short on my NAND caps. And I bet you it's this one. I'm just guessing. I don't really know. Okay, so this one does have a, I believe that's my 3 volt line. I'm sorry about the focus on this. Let me see if it's focused normally. It's not. There we go. Yeah, hopefully that wasn't too bad for you guys, but hopefully that's fixed now. Oh yeah, so I want to check to make sure that that's actually the 3VO line. This is an iPhone 8. Yep, that's my 3VO line. So it's kind of funny because a lot of people would have just checked for a mainline short, and having not seen it, they probably just would have given up. But it's quite easy to like just double check with your multimeter if you know what the lines are and what they do, to find a short like that. It's very common for the 3VO line to go out. It's the most common NAND power rail that goes out. Definitely more than the 1V8 or the OV9. I don't know if I've ever seen the 0.9 volt line go out. So I have a little bit of corrosion up here, but these are all connectors that aren't really pivotal. I believe this is like the front camera, this is the back camera, this is the power button, and maybe some, I don't know what else goes into there. But I can't really imagine that TriStar would be a problem, as was reported by the customer, that a charging port took this phone out. It seems to just be water damage, shorted a NAND power rail. These is just some VDD main and a filter, and we don't need them there. Let's just remove it to make sure they don't cause a problem later. So I imagine this job is going to be just about done. It's seems to be a very easy one. I'm not sure how I feel about releasing videos that are easy. It kind of encourages amateurs to give it a try, and not every job is easy. And amateurs should not be working on data recovery jobs, because almost every single time, if you're unsuccessful and you did work to the motherboard, it's almost always going to be worse for the next person than if you hadn't touched it at all. I'm very careful when I do things. I don't apply power to this board until I know that things aren't short. If I were to apply power to this board now, the 3VO line is short, and that line is what powers the NAND chip. And if the NAND chip really, really didn't like that short, it could corrupt the data in the NAND chip, and then data wouldn't be recoverable even after the short was cleared, because it had already been corrupted. So there's like a lot of things you kind of need to watch out for, and you can't just start applying power to things without knowing if it's safe to do so yet. But some jobs I can finish very quickly, and this would be an example of that if this is the only problem on here. But also, just because I can figure it out quickly, it doesn't mean that other people would be able to. Sure, if you're good with iPhone boards, like Jessa Jones at iPad Rehab, or Jesse Cruz over at VCC Board Repair, if somebody like that had this board, I'm sure they would be able to solve it as well. But when it comes to anybody that's not an expert on iPhone motherboards, they can never check this spot because it's just not one of the very common ones that goes out. I mean, it is common in terms of the NAND, the most common NAND power rail that's short, but it's still not like something that an amateur would think to look at. So it's either going to be this cap or the one at the end. I'm just going to pull them both off. It's easy to do so. I guess to show one more technique, I mean, it does look like it's this one. But to show one more technique, I guess I can use some freeze spray. And I can show you how to inject voltage into these lines to figure out exactly which cap is short. So I'll choose a capacitor on that line that's most likely not short, which this one over here looks like it's going to be the cleanest one. And this is on that line. So I'll inject voltage. This is a 3VO line, so I'll inject 3 volts into this line. And because one of the capacitors is short to ground, and voltage likes to go to ground, and voltage meeting ground creates heat, that would mean when I inject voltage into this capacitor, the heat's going to go directly to the other capacitor that's bad. I'm out of freeze spray here, so let me go grab another can. Okay, I have my can of air, and we'll set our DC power supply to 3 volts. And we flip the can of air upside down, frost comes out. That's what we use to freeze the board. And it makes the bad capacitor jump right out once it's heating up a little bit. So I'll inject into here. I'll touch any part of ground and heats right up. So this one heated, and that one's also heated. So this one might have gone short when I was prying at the underfill, and maybe I broke it, but it looks like both of these caps are going to be short actually. So once I pull both of those caps off, the line shouldn't be short anymore. Just for people that aren't familiar with how these voltage lines work, like when I'm measuring this capacitor, I'm not actually measuring that capacitor. I'm measuring the entire line. So, for example, I already know from my freeze spray that this cap and this cap are short to ground from the heat. But like this capacitor here is going to show short, ground, and that doesn't mean that capacitor is short. It just means that something on the line is short, and you have to figure out which cap it is, and that's why we use that freeze spray. It's a misconception. Some people have the idea that if you measure something, that's what you're actually measuring, that single component, and that's not the case. You're measuring the entire line when you're measuring a single component like that. That was not a very graceful removal. Of course, you can always remove caps with hot air. It's just a lot easier to just pop them off. This one is just on there a little tighter than normal. So you can see right here on NAND how it has that discoloration from the heat of this short. That's what I'm talking about when I say that, like, if you apply voltage to this phone while there's a shorted line, it's possible that you can corrupt NAND. I cannot believe how much this capacitor doesn't want to come off this board. And I may have actually nicked this other capacitor and caused this one to come short too. So let me just measure that line one more time to see if it's clear yet. It's still not clear, so I'm sure I measured, or I nicked this capacitor too. So let's just pull this one off too. Oops. 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 Okay, now I expect the line to be clear. Yep, clear now. We'll come back to this one, it will show clear. Okay, so that's probably booting now. So what we can do now, before I grab a battery and a screen and a charge port, is I can just double check on my DC power supply if it's giving a normal boot up sequence or boot signature, DC power supply signature. I'll set this back to 4 volts or around there. I'll connect my probes to the battery connector. I get no amp draw before prompt to boot, so no mainline short. We'll keep an eye on this number. It should rise up from 0 to like 0.20 slowly. So yeah, it normally goes to 0.20 once, and then drops back down, and then goes again, and then there it goes. And then it'll keep rising higher, but that's all I usually wait for it to see, because that's usually means it's fine. So now I'll grab a battery, a screen, and a charge port, and this thing should boot right up, and data should be available to take. So let me grab that, and we'll double check that. Alright, I've got my screen, my battery, and my charge port. Well, let me grab my battery right here. So I always like to use a known good screen, battery, and charge port, just so I don't have to, worry about if the components that came with this phone are water damaged or bad or something. So I will prompt it to boot with my charge port, with my charging cable. And I expect to see an Apple logo right away, and then I expect it to boot up shortly after that. There's the Apple logo. I'll double check the password while we're waiting for that to boot up. Looks like it booted. 341 353 341 353. Oops. So of course he gave me the wrong password. It's common. Oh, you know what? This person filled out a form for one phone and then said they sent me a different phone. So they didn't include their password. So I'll have to call them and double check that password. But touch works, image works, everything is going to be fine on this one. So this one's very simple. It was a NAND line short. I see them every once in a while. On the iPhone 8, it's I see it a little bit more on the iPhone 8 than other models. I don't know why that is. It's just something I've noticed. But very simple job, very quick and easy. I guess I don't have much to say about this one, so I hope you learned something from the video, and I hope you come again soon. Thanks. Bye.